magnificent in every way. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, I mean, it was only last year here that we announced that we were going to be doing this project, and myself and Martin came up and discussed the whole thing. But we spent 2011 doing several races to develop the car. It's now just being delivered this week and next week. The first car is going out, and it will now appear in 2012 with 25 cars out there in nearly all the major championships in Europe. So it's great for everyone to look at, but I have to say I've seen rather a lot of them this year.
Yeah, there's a VT playing up above you, which you've seen before. It looks fantastic on track. Was it always a case that when McLaren decided to build what was only their second ever road car, that it would go racing?
Well, I don't know if that was ever at the very sort of start of it that they thought about going racing, but it's in McLaren's blood. You know, they are a racing organisation, and I think whatever happened, the car would end up racing. And I think that from the point of view of the joint venture company that we formed, it was a case of if McLaren themselves or with someone else didn't do it, then someone would. So they wanted to have control of it, make sure that it was done well. And I think it is a fantastic car. I mean, Rob and Alex have driven the car, but it was set out with a view of a gentleman driver, which was what, at the time, only a year ago, what GT3 was, and tried to make it a very easy car to drive. And I think we've done a good job of that. I think it's good on its tyres, everything else, and I think people that have been in it have really loved it. But the interesting thing is now that GT3's gone away a little bit from that, and it's now starting to be more of a professional driver series, hence the reason why we're now looking at signing some professional drivers like we have up here today.
That is us, by the way, but apparently we're being interfered with, which is it's a little bit early in the day for that, isn't it? Rob, you've raced Ferraris and Aston Martins in GT racing. You're one of the top guys out there. Why the switch? And are you confident that this is the kit to be with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the pedigree of McLaren is second to none, really. So it was an easy decision. I've driven a lot of GT cars and seen a lot that goes on in that side of things. And at the end of the day, this was a factory deal. It's a program which is, the prestige is absolutely fantastic. So although I have been around, as you've said, Ferrari in particular for a long time, I was sort of, this for me is something, a project that we're in from the start, so you can get really involved in it. We're going to do a lot of test work. So for me, that's a fantastic thing to do. I can get my teeth stuck into it and develop something, and almost, I'd like to think we stamp our names on it a little bit, and it's brilliant to be involved, and especially when you go down to World King and you see the factory and you have a tour around, and it's kind of hard not to be a little bit awestruck. And after that, it was an easy decision, and it's something I'm very much looking forward to. We have driven the car. It's a great chassis and base to start from. Got fantastic technology in there, and it's a question of developing that. And I think in years to come, it's certainly got the pedigree and the potential to be a world beater.
I think that McLaren ethos and reputation means that it can't not be a success, can it?
Well, obviously there are other manufacturers out there who are doing equally as hard work to make sure they succeed. But I think at the end of the day, when you see the background of the company and the technology involved and where the program is headed, I think you're right. There's potential there, and we will certainly do our very best to make sure we do our part as drivers to bring it forward. And very, very much looking forward to it and excited for the future.
Alex, you've made a bit of a career switch from single-seaters to GT racing, but in bed with a manufacturer like McLaren, then that it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the single-seater situation at the moment is you need so much money to continue up the ladder. It's something that was not an option for me, and having won the McLaren Autosport Award back in 2008, I had pretty decent links with McLaren. So I got on the phone to them, to Andrew, and saw if there was any opportunity, and there was.
It is mad. I mean, Rob and Andrew have raced single-seaters as well. You do need an absurd amount of money. And even if you keep winning, you still need to bring the cash to the table, don't you?
Yeah, it never gets any easier financially. Yeah, as you say, you just need to have money every single step of the way, even when you get to F1 at the moment. So,
yeah, are you going to have to sort of reprogram your brain? Is this a real departure from what you're used to, or is it still a case of a car is a car is a car?
Yeah, I mean, I was interested the first time I tested the car to find out that actually, when you drive a car fast, you just adapt to it and work out how to drive it fast. It's not something that you've got to take years to get your head round. You jump in it, do your best, and surprise, surprise, it's a pretty decent job.
You haven't pressed stop on your single-seater ambitions, have you? Just pause.
I don't know. That's partly why McLaren appealed to me so much. You know, they're obvious links with F1. They're still in single-seaters, but equally I realise the situation is not something that I'm just going to be able to switch next year and go back to single-seaters. I'm interested in this in the long run. It's a fantastic project, the first that I've been involved in myself. I'm looking forward to it massively.
What sort of program are you going to be undertaking? How many races are you doing, and where, and in what series?
I don't know much of that myself yet. We haven't.
That's honest, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I've just committed to being a part of the project. I'll do what I can to try and help things move forward. But hopefully I'll be racing in some series. But just being part of the McLaren project is the best thing.
Yeah. Andrew, grab the mic back. Great to have somebody like Alexander on the books.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Alex came out to a test in Jerez just before Christmas, actually just before Christmas, only a few days before, and jumped in the car. I'd never really driven much in a GT car. I think he'd driven a DTM in the Autosport award, but nothing else. And jumped straight in. Was very good. I think he embarrassed us. Actually, he was slightly quicker than the pair of us, which was. Maybe that's a sign of age from our side. I'm not sure, but no, he was very impressive, and also
he's speaking for himself there, isn't he, Rob? Yeah.
Yeah, and he also drove the car in the dark as well for the first time, and that's not easy, especially at a circuit where there was no lighting or anything. And that's something that when you first do it, it's quite daunting. But straight away he was on the pace. But no, it's great to have someone with a pedigree like that on board with us. And basically the idea from our side is that we have professional drivers. We'll have the drivers that we had last year, Alvaro, Oliver, and these two guys, and they will be available to the customer teams. So, regardless of how good your car is, you need to have good drivers in them, and when there's good drivers in them, they win races, and that's really important to us.
So the emphasis is very much on customer racing. McLaren are developing the cars with your help, and then they go off and do the World Championship, which is for GT3 cars now, and all the sort of plethora of domestic series as well. Yeah,
there will be two cars in the World Championship this year with Hexis, who are the team that won the World Championship from the team side in 2011. And then there's cars in every series. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always difficult because the teams, buy cars with the intention to do championships. You have to find drivers and budgets, etc. But at the moment, the way it stands, we should see cars in every series. It's nice to see the black car over the back there, which is the Getty car with the number 1. We won the championship with them in a Ferrari in 2011, and it's good to see a McLaren on the grid with a number 1 on it.
Final word to you, Rob, having raced Ferrari and Aston Martin, very much the benchmark cars in GT racing, the Ferrari particularly in GTE. Is that on the right track? Have you got a good benchmark to work from?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing that this car has got, which is an advantage to everyone over everyone else, is obviously the technology involved. We've got the carbon monocell in there, so I think we're starting from possibly a step above everyone else, and there's an element of pressure, comes along with that. Like you alluded to before, there is a pressure with the badge, to go and win straight away. So I think that the key point is if you take a clean piece of paper and you want to make a racing car from it, you've got everything in the right place with this car to start with, and the technology on board. So I think when you actually take all that into account, we're starting from a very, very strong position. And personally speaking, it'd be fantastic to take on Ferrari and beat them hands down.